Welcome to the ArmChair GM podcast. I'm Chris. That's Dylan. This week in Calgary, we've got some lineup changes. We've got some guys that made it back into the lineup, thankfully. A severe goalie battle going on after the last game. And of course, some trade rumors. It's going to be fun. Let's go. Welcome to the ArmChair GM podcast.
What a win for the Flames last night over the Washington Capitals, who at the time were the second best team in the league, and I'm pretty sure still are. Probably weren't expecting to come out with a win on that one. At least I wasn't, but I sure am happy we did because, man, some of those plays last night were pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were looking at the road trip coming up, and I think we both referred to it as a bit of a gauntlet of a show. Like it was not, in my opinion, going to favor the Flames in any capacity. But I tell you what, that was probably one of the best first periods that we played in a very long time. They came out hot, they controlled the pace, and it was a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, the second wasn't nearly as good, but they came back in the third and weren't quite as good as the first, but they definitely took charge again, which was great.
And a big change from a lot of the season is the play of Vladar. Now, the last game he played, I believe it was the last game he played, I thought he played very well as well. But for the majority of the last, 2.5 seasons, he's not been very good at all. He was pretty good backup to Markstrom that 1 year where Markstrom almost won the Vezina. But since then, Vladar's kind of not been very good at all. But he was awesome last night.
He really was. I think, in my opinion, what's potentially happening there is, like you said, he was a really good backup to Markstrom. And then after that happened and Markstrom kind of faltered that season, he became more of a regular in the lineup and things started to falter. And then this year being, kind of a 1A, 1B with Wolf for majority of the season until Wolf just kind of took it over on his own. And now all of a sudden, potentially, obviously it's one game. We'll see what happens moving forward. But, maybe he's going to, ramp himself up to be an actual backup that you can count on to win, 65, 70% of his games if possible, right?
That would be incredible. I would even consider, giving him an extension if he finishes the season off. What do you think he plays another 4 or 5 games? If he wins 3 or 4 of those,
then you
not?
can consider it, right?
I don't think he's going to get traded. And I really like Cooley as well. Although he hasn't been as good of late, he's still pretty much the best goalie in the AHL this year. But I wouldn't mind rolling with either one of them next year, especially considering where we're at as a team. But I thought Vladar really tracked the puck well, which he usually doesn't. We talked about it on the post-game show last night, actually, and I think it was you that said, generally speaking, he is in the way, but it's not because he moved to get in the way. Like he doesn't know where the puck's at; it just hits him. But
he's in a good position to make the stop, and also I agree. You could actually see him tracking. That was the biggest flaw in his game against Washington. Obviously, were those big, fat, juicy rebounds, but thankfully, majority of the Flames were on board and had a system to get the puck out of there, which was good.
Yeah, there was a kind of a protect the net mantra I found from a lot of the Flames. So whenever Vladar did kick out a bad rebound, because he is known to do that. I thought he did better last night than he usually does at it, but he still kicked a few out. And there was only one really juicy rebound that I can think of that he actually dove over and got. But for the most part, the rest of the team just crashed the net and cleared. as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. What do you think of
Yeah.
Ilya Solovyov's game so far?
You know, I thought it's been really good. It's quiet. You don't really notice him per se, but in my opinion, when it comes to defenders, that's a better thing than noticing, because most times when it comes to defenders, when you notice them, it's for the wrong reasons. I found he's been solid, right? He
Yeah.
hasn't really shown me any reason to take him out of the lineup. You know, we've got an abundance of 7 to 9 um, defensemen on the team right now, but I don't see any reason to take him out. Like, you know, if they cycle Bean and Hanley for the next couple of games, I'm perfectly okay with that.
Yeah. I know a lot of the fan base is having problems with Bean right now. Um, I don't have as many problems with Bean as as most people do. I just find that he's kind of like many other defensemen in the league, where if he's playing 18, 19, 20 minutes, he's not doing very well. But if he's playing 11, 12, 13, 14 minutes, then he's doing great. And
Yeah.
I've had no problems with Ball when he's slotted properly, or sorry, with Bean when he's slotted
Yeah.
properly. But for the most part, um, the last, I don't know, few weeks, he hasn't been slotted properly, and that's when his warts have started to show. But again, once he got back on to the third pair, he started playing much better. But when it comes to
Yeah.
Solovyov, I mean, so it's the same thing with the slotting, right? In his first two games this year, he played actually the exact same amount of time. He played 19-24 on both of the first games against Seattle and San Jose. And I thought that he played very well for most of both of those games, but then tailed off nearing the end of the game. And
Yeah.
then he played almost 12 minutes last night against Washington, and probably was tasked with a little bit less. That they're trying to get Anderson or Uyghur or Ball out there against Ovechkin, as shown by
Obviously.
Anderson's ridiculous amount of Ovechkin blocks. But
Yeah.
he only played 12 minutes last night, Solovyov, and he was very good last night, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, you have somebody that's trying to make his mark and become part of the Flames. In my opinion, it's a coaching error to give him close to 20 minutes. That's a drastic change. We all know the difference between the AHL and the NHL. Going up against guys like Ovechkin or some of the elites in the industry. To put a young kid out there for 18 to 20 minutes, I think is a big mistake. The minutes are tougher, the shifts are longer, and it's just you're gonna see the tail off of it because he's just not ready for it yet. Will he be ready for it? I sure hope so, and he's showing good signs. But I think keep him between the 12 to 14 mark right now if you can for the next couple of games, and I think you'll be able to see a much better defender.
So you think it's a mistake, even though Ball was out? Like, I don't think Huska wanted to play him for 19-24 for two games. I think if Huska had his choice, he probably would have played him for, 10 to 15, not 19 and a half. That's my
How,
opinion,
how,
anyways.
how many games did he play while Ball was out?
The two he played while Ball was out, he was at 19-24, and the one he played where Ball was in, he played 11-51.
Yeah.
So
So he,
I think
so he
that's
played,
more of a team scope thing, right? Like everyone, most of them were slotted improperly because
yeah.
Ball was out.
Yeah, that's fair. Like obviously you need to distribute those minutes, and you're not going to be able to do it evenly with our lineup. But yeah, I mean, I do see your point. 'Cause, yeah, I guess he played the one game before the Four Nations, and then 2 games since, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
also
I mean,
different levels of competition, right? Like, he played
yeah,
Seattle, who don't have a single superstar player, and San
yeah,
Jose, who's got, like, a superstar player who's 18 years old. Um,
yeah.
right? So you can probably be okay with trusting your young players a little bit more
Mhm.
in those situations. Plus, your number 3 or 4 defenseman in Kevin Ball was out, so
Yeah.
you have to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, you have to protect them, right? And then, during those times, you're right. I mean, Seattle and San Jose, aside from, obviously San Jose has, one player I think that's worthy of being worried about. Um, so I feel like the chances of him being up in that situation aren't nearly as likely as going up against a Washington that has some good seasoned veterans that can really hurt your defenders in a hurry and make you look stupid, right?
Make you pay pretty quick, especially that one guy who's what, 11
Yeah.
goals or 12 goals away from breaking Gretzky's record.
Yeah, I hear he's pretty good at putting the puck in the net. Um, I mean,
Certainly knows how.
he's made fools out of pretty much every goaltender that's ever been up against him and defenders. Like, the fact that he can score that many goals from the same location, game after game after game, just shows you how good he is at it. Because people still to this day do not have an answer for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
79 goalies.
That's it, eh?
Yeah, just 179.
Jeez. Jeez. Okay, fine. He's pretty good.
um,
Now I say that um, tongue in cheek. I've never been a big fan of Ovechkin. I can obviously recognize his talent.
yeah. See, I am a big fan of Ovechkin, but is what it is.
Yeah.
Back to okay, so we were talking about Kevin Ball coming back in, and I think both of us agree on this one. I'm not sure if you do. I'm pretty sure you do, but man, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And like his reach and just his steadying presence, whether he's no matter who he's on the ice with, no matter who he's on the ice against, he's not Chris Tanev, but he's the closest thing we currently have to Chris Tanev, and he's bigger. Um,
Yeah.
he just he makes smart defensive plays all the time, and it was a huge reason why we didn't do very well while he was away, while he was hurt, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
You know what?
again, it just slotted everybody better. Like Hanley's still probably getting a little bit too many minutes, but um, he's been
But he
pretty
had a
good.
hell of a game. He
Yeah,
had a really strong game. So I mean, you can't take those minutes away from him because I mean he was feeling it. You could tell he was feeling it. He was all over the place. I was really happy with Hanley's game.
he's had
Granted,
a few good games in a row. Well, I mean, honestly,
yeah,
he's played well. For the vast majority of the season, he's played way better than I thought he'd play, and I'm happy
mhm.
about that. But I still think that he's not
He's still
maybe a guy you
7
want to
or
be
8.
playing 20 minutes.
No, exactly. He's still a 7-8, right? No matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, but if he can come in, like I said, do a few game cycle with Bean, hold the spot down on the third pairing, great. I had zero issue with that. But when it comes to Ball, I think just he reads the play really well, and he's got such an enormous reach. He's a monster of a man with a giant stick. And, I like I said last night on the show, I feel like he's got a 27-foot reach sometimes. He just comes out of nowhere with that stick and knocks a puck off, and then just rides you into the corner.
And he doesn't take many hooking penalties because
Yeah,
the way he defends, a lot of guys take hooking penalties when they do that. He doesn't. I don't know. I'm gonna pay more attention to that because that kind of just dawned on me because he does kind of wrap himself around guys and reach around, but he doesn't take those hooking penalties. I'm going to pay more attention to how he actually does that in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, good point. He seems to, when he does get himself wrapped around them, he does it without putting his hands on their shoulder or on their hip to take that holding or hooking and that sort of call.
Yeah,
Um, but I do find that when he's not doing that, he keeps a pretty good distance. And when he does that, then he seems to have a further range on him when keeps you at a distance. So he's pretty damn good at what he does. He's
absolutely.
a fairly young guy. He's got one more year in his contract. With just over $1 million, or not one more. Sorry, this year is his last year. Restricted free agent. I feel like he's making a good case to at least quadruple his current salary.
Yeah, no, I'd
Yeah.
be comfortable. I'd be comfortable giving him a good healthy raise in a mid to long, 5 6 year type of deal for, you know,
Yeah.
$5 million or something like that. I think last time we talked about it, I probably was more at four, but I don't know, 4.5, five.
Yeah.
Fuck, I wouldn't mind at all.
Yeah. Since we talked about it, and we discussed the four, because I remember that we did both kind of agree right around the 4.45. But since that episode, he went down for a bunch of games due to injury, and you saw how sorely missed he was.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh shit, he's actually a main piece in this defensive core right now. That's amazing.
absolutely. And it's been nice to see him back. Speaking of returns, Connor Zary looks like he's missed the last couple months. I think again, like anyone who's watched the show knows, I'm a huge Zary fan. He's my favorite forward on the team currently. Although Coronado's stepping up pretty quick, but Zary is currently my favorite forward on the team. But I think he looks like he starts games strong the last couple games that he's been in for, and he's
Yeah.
kind of trails off a little bit. I also think that, and I hate to say this because in the past, Backlund and Coleman really held guys up, but I'm a huge fan of both of those guys. But
Mm.
I've found over the past couple games, there's been a few times where Zary's made a really, really nice play to get the puck to one of them, and then they just become an offensive black hole and
Yeah.
just thunk the boards with it or something, or whatever. And again, like we don't employ Backlund to score a bunch of goals, but I think Zary needs more offensively talented line mates to finish off them passes.
No, for sure. But I think right now he's kind of, the last couple of games, it almost looks like he's on a conditioning stint. Because I do
Mhm.
agree, he started out pretty strong in both games. Um, and by midway through the second, you could see fatigue. But I mean, he hasn't played actual games in almost 2 months, right?
Yeah,
So I
and
mean,
I mean
it's understandable.
it was a knee leg injury, right? So
Yeah.
it's pretty pretty normal to not be able to skate properly coming back at right after a leg injury. So hopefully
Yeah.
he gets back to his form because he's a really exciting young player to watch when he's on.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's going to, right? It's just going to take probably 4 games, 5 games, and then I'm sure he'll start, you know, continuing on the fast pace that he's starting games with. He'll pull that through for full 60-minute games here pretty soon, I would think. By the end
Yeah,
of the road
start
trip, he's going to be
extending it.
looking great. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, and Matt Coronado, man, how about that shot? How about that fucking shot? Like,
It's a sneaky good release, right? You don't know that he's released it, let alone what direction it's about to go. Like he shows no sign. He just shoots a puck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
With
it's
force.
with force, and it's rarely on the ice. It's
Yeah.
always pretty much always elevated, and he puts it pretty much right where he wants it most of the time, which most of our players don't. Um, it's so nice seeing a young player who can do that. And we talked about it yesterday, and it sounds fucking ridiculous to say, because I'm not saying that he is Austin Matthews, because he's not. He's not as good as Austin Matthews, obviously, but he's got a similar release where he can do a toe drag and roof it, or deke or whatever, but he also can, like he did last night, he can just kind of almost lose control of it and kind of slap at it with like accident, like it almost looked like an accident. It looked like a half slap shot, and he just got it off so quickly, so surprisingly, and right where he wanted it, right top corner, right? Like amazing. And there's only a few players in the league that can do that with any kind of regularity, and he's one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely refreshing to if you're watching a game and you see a young player such like Coronado when he's coming in on a a semi breakaway or making a breakaway on his own because he really is putting in the effort. You know, in players past, 88. Um, as soon as you see that potential breakaway, you don't even bother watching anymore because you know damn well he's going to miss the net by 8 feet.
Yeah.
Like
Speaking of him, I didn't
Mangiapane had
notice
this.
him at all last night.
No, I mean the TV tried to pan at him many times to let you know that he was there, but other than that, you didn't notice it during the play.
No.
But
I mean, he's a
every
fourth
time he
liner
would
now.
go in, he would be 3 to 4 feet away from the net and miss the net by 6 feet. I don't even know how that's possible.
Me
You know,
neither. Me
but
neither.
but when Coronado is on a break, where you're engaged, you're watching because there's a high chance he's going to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, I don't know. Mangiapane's on a
Yeah.
breakaway. You're like, go get a beer, I guess.
Well,
And
immediately,
then,
as soon as
and
you're
then
like,
you hear
yeah, and then you
funk
go,
while you're opening the fridge.
and then you look up, you see 88, and you go, fuck, you know, anybody, please, anybody else. It's not Backlund either. No 88,
I
no
was gonna
11.
say even
Yeah,
Backlund, but maybe
yeah,
not.
yeah. Hold on. Yeah. No. Apparently, you can't have one number twice on your jersey because that seems to be the mark. As soon as you have that, you won't hit the net. That's as far as I can go. That's the research I've done thus far.
Someone
Is if
should
you have
tell
the
William
same number
Nylander.
twice. True. Well, I mean, he misses because his helmet doesn't fit his head.
Well, he doesn't miss that
So it's,
often.
well, I wouldn't say I'm missing it, Bob.
Yeah, man. Someone should tell Wayne Gretzky.
That's different though, because his numbers were upside down. He was trying to be, he was trying to be 66, but he couldn't figure it out. He was from Edmonton, or not from Edmonton, but he played for Edmonton.
He
So
just kept putting his jersey on backwards, upside down.
yeah, he couldn't figure it out. He was between that and the gray sweatpants. He didn't know what he was doing.
Remember, at the end of the show last night, we were like, "Man, this is going off the rails." Here we are again.
Cheers.
So, while we're on the topic of the forwards, how do you like Pospisil on the fourth line? Because I'm just gonna say, I think he struggled for most of the year, but the last couple games he's been on that fourth line. I think again, I'm gonna go with the Peter Lombardi special. He slots properly. The slotting is right.
Yeah. You know, I don't mind him there. I want him on the third or second if he can improve his game. I find when it comes to him, he really wants to create energy. He really wants to be the guy that creates mayhem for his players to have room and success.
Yeah.
but you also need to put him with players that can thrive off of that and understand what he's trying to do. So you put him with guys like Lomberg, who obviously does the same thing,
Yeah.
right? He plays high energy, impactful, keep your head on a swivel if you're the other team. We're coming at you. So, I
Yeah.
mean, he suits the role 100%. I think he's better than that. He just has not been better than that this year.
I think he's got more skill than the rest of the guys on their fourth line. And I
Mhm.
agree with you that, he wants to be that guy that makes, makes the play that causes havoc and all that type of stuff. I just think, and I hate to limit young players, but like when his ice time climbs a little bit too much, he starts taking liberties and he starts doing real dumb shit. And he kind of just, I know you love, like, I love the physical game too, and I
Mhm.
think that we have differing opinions on how physical the game should be, because I think you like it a little bit more actually dangerous than I do. And I think
Yeah.
that when Pospisil gets more ice time, he's a dangerous player. And like, and I don't mean dangerous like he's scoring. I mean dangerous like he's gonna hurt someone and take a
Yeah.
fucking 5-minute penalty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fair. I I agree with that. I do prefer my hockey to be physical, very physical. Obviously, a big reason for that or a big part of that is our age gap.
Yeah,
You know, I, I was in the dome when well, I guess I wasn't in the dome when they won the cup, but I was in the dome during that cup run in '89.
yeah,
The game has changed a lot since then. Um, I do appreciate the talent that's around now, but I do find that players get injured more because the referees aren't able to control that sort of stuff nearly as much as they would like to think they can.
yeah.
Where 30 years ago, the stuff was just dealt with by the players, and so you didn't see those stupid plays, right? Because there was
Well, you
actual
still saw them.
repercussion
You just
sitting.
had Tim Hunter or whoever fucking beating your face
Well,
if you did it.
well, that's right, but you at least thought about it. I mean, like right now, the worst that happens to you is you sit. I guess not the worst, but I mean, you're generally just going to sit for 2 minutes, like big freaking deal, right? Yeah.
My biggest
Most.
issue, because like I do love the physical game too, right? But I think the biggest problem with the physical game and the way the game is called is that the rules right now allow for players, and like I use Jack Hughes as an example for this all the fucking time, and Patrick
Mhm.
Laine. These two guys, insanely skilled players, but they do this thing where they see a player coming at them, and then they turn their back or they turn their face into the boards to try and shield the puck or to try and draw a penalty, and then they get hit from behind from a guy who was trying to hit them clean, and they put themselves in a position to get hurt.
Mhm.
And that did I can't remember who it was, but that happened with Pospisil, I think, last year. He got suspended, I believe, for making a hit that he wasn't aiming to make, but somebody turned away from him and it was too late, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's
guys put
that's one of the
themselves
reasons
in
why I didn't
positions
like that
where
that that suspension last year because I agree. Yes, there was an element of danger with what Pospisil was doing. However, that wasn't the hit he was trying to make. The other player made that turn, and I think uh, the discipline should have matched that, right? At some point when the player moves, it's too late to get out of what you're trying to do, right?
yeah, and
But
like
yeah, I
to,
mean,
to me, like how do you fix that? How do you give a player who's just been like, say it's Jack Hughes, because fuck, he does it every year. But say it's
yeah,
Jack Hughes, he's fucking, I don't know, Jacob Truba is coming up behind him or in front of him, He turns around and puts his head into the boards, and Trouba hits him from behind because it's too late to dodge it. Jack Hughes is out on the ice for 5 minutes. Do you give the Devils a 2-minute embellishment penalty, or like it's not embellishment, but it's pure stupidity. You're trying to draw a penalty, and
I
by
was just
trying to
gonna
draw a
say,
penalty, you're getting hurt.
Yeah, can they just literally make a stupidity penalty? Here's 2 minutes stupidity.
Yeah, like
You know, I mean, at some point, yeah. I mean, you know, and you keep hearing like, well, we need to get these dangerous plays out of it. Well, yeah. Teach the players to quit doing that. Like, don't turn your back to that. If somebody's coming in at you, ducking your head when you're a foot from the boards is really freaking dangerous.
yeah.
And they should know that. They do know that.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean? Like,
but they're more concentrated on getting a fucking power play than they are on their own health.
Saving their own life. Yeah. That's right.
Anyways,
I mean, they're taught at a very young age how to take a hit properly, right?
Yeah.
It's really not that difficult.
Yeah, they're also taught at a young age how to draw a penalty. And speaking of learning how to draw a penalty, Nazem Kadri.
Right.
I was about to. I was about to shit on. You know what? I'll shit on him just a little bit. So he does embellish all the time, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy. But he has been playing so much better in my eyes the last couple weeks. You know, just before the break and since the break, than he has the entire time he's played for the Flames, because he's using his teammates more. He still does the Superman thing that drives me insane, but you see 91 passing in the offensive zone at 5-on-5 way more than you did before.
Yeah.
He's got his head on a swivel. He's noting where the other players on the other team are, and instead of trying to skate through them, he's passing the puck.
Yeah.
And it's great to see, because that's the main thing that drives me insane about him, is the embellishment and the refusal to pass the puck. And if he keeps doing that, fuck, I'll be happy. You know?
Yeah. I mean, for the rest of the season while he's still a Flame, right?
Yeah. I still think they're going to trade him in the offseason, but and that's not just because I want them to. I'd rather them do it now, but I think they'll hold on to him for the rest of the season, and then trade him in the offseason to a contender, or the Avs will make some room and trade for him, and we'll hold on to $1 million or something like that, right?
Yep.
That's my
we've got the cap space, so yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. But I wanted to get that in about Kadri, because when you spend so much time shitting on somebody, you got to give them a little bit of credit when it's due as well. So,
you know what? Good on you. I spent the first year of him as a Flame shitting on him, and then I was giving him his kudos on occasion when he was playing with Zari and Pospisil last year, because I thought he looked more engaged in the games. He was still doing that stuff that you're talking about, where he thinks he's strong enough to get through two defenders, and it never ever works, and that was super frustrating. But he at least looked like he was having fun playing with those two players, and they were extremely dangerous on the ice. The three of them together, they did really well. So I gave him credit then as well. But you're right. Like, most of the time you're looking at him, you're just shaking your head. He is good at drawing the penalties, but I find, in my opinion, most of the penalties he's drawing, it's a massive dive, and that irritates me. It irritates me when other teams do it. It irritates me when my own team does it.
100%. And I don't want to say most of the penalties, because a lot of the penalties that he draws are like pretty legit, but there's also, I don't know, maybe 30-40% of them are dives or embellishment. And I think the problem is the biggest problem is when it doesn't get called because he did dive or
Mhm.
whatever, and the ref is like, instead of calling him for embellishment, he just doesn't call anything, and then Naz will just sit on the ice and fucking stare at the refs like, somebody tripped me. It's like, no, you fucking
Yeah.
did your best Michael Phelps impression, like, except for the weed, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe no, no, I'm not going there.
But anyways,
Yeah,
so yeah, I just wanted to give Naz a little bit of credit because yeah, he's not my favorite, but he's there.
he's there.
And he's been doing better lately.
That is some high praise coming from you. He's not my favorite, but he's there.
Yeah.
It may not feel like it, but spring is right around the corner. Know how I can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is. Get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through to closing round Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. If you've never bet on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tournament and make your pick. It's just that easy. Here's something special for first timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers. Get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only at DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
What else do we have here? I think kind of an underrated duo that the Flames have currently. And Sharon Govich has been getting all sorts of shit lately because he hasn't been producing very well. But I have really enjoyed watching Frost and Sharon Govich play together. Not huge on Farabee's start. Like, I don't think he's been bad. I just think he works. He kind of reminds me of Mangiapane, where he works really hard, but he's just not super effective at anything. But I also, I think he can probably step it up and be a little bit better. But Sharon Govich and Frost together, I find that they find each other on the ice in the offensive zone very well. They both see each other a lot, and they're both crafty offensive players.
Yeah.
Sharon Govich has got a couple of assists on Frost's goals. Would be nice to see Sharon Govich pot a few, but hey, man, if you're getting assists, you're helping too, right?
Well, that's right. If he can get some comfort going in his game and get some confidence going, I think it's only a matter of time before it goes off. With kind of 4 goals in 5 games kind of thing, just to get him back on track. And obviously he's known as a goal scorer, not necessarily a playmaker. So if he can get back to scoring some goals, I'm sure it'll do wonders for his mindset, right? And he'll actually start shooting the puck again. Because that's one of the issues I have with him right now. And obviously, is just he's not shooting the puck. He's making some smart plays, but he's also losing the puck trying to hold on to it to make a play, right? So I do agree with you. Him and Frost do seem to have some decent chemistry for sure. They're seeing each other well from side to side. They're cycling well together, and yeah, I hope they can continue to build on it.
Yeah. Like, Sharon Govich hasn't had a 3-shot game since January 26th, and
Mhm.
it's been 0-0-2-2-2-0-2-1-1. So he's had a few 0-shot games in the last month, and he's only had one 3-shot game. So it would be nice to see him. Fuck, he's only got one 4-shot game in a couple months.
Wow.
January.
Yeah, that's not like
so
him,
in
right?
December, he has a couple 7-shot games, but since December, where is it? Since December 25th, he has he has one 4-shot game, and that's his highest since December. So that's 2 months.
Jeez. Sort of see, kid. Get shooting the puck again. You're good at it.
He's so good at it. He's got that similar release with as Coronado does, and when he uses it, he tends to surprise goalies and score. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to be quiet forever, right? I think he's going to go off. I feel like he's just going to be one of those streaky players throughout this this contract that he's got, which I still don't mind the contract, but I think he's going to be one of these streaky guys who just kind of disappears off the face of the earth for a month and then goes off for a couple weeks type of thing.
Yeah, it's just that month is hard to watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think he's streaky too. I think he was even streaky last year when he got his 35 goals too. He started shit, but of course he started on the fourth line, worked his way up, all of a sudden became a mainstay as far as goal scorers and on the first power play, and I think he can get back there, but hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about some trade rumors. There's not all that many going around about Calgary, and I don't think they're going to do anything before the deadline. Except for, he might ship off a 5th or 6th round pick or something like that for an upgrade on Rooney. That's the only thing I can really see. And Rooney's been playing all right the last couple games, but like that's the only thing I can see him doing, or maybe like trading Rooney, or like just a super minor deal that doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, as far as going to acquire a player to replace Rooney, I think that's counterintuitive to development. To me, that would just be ridiculous on his part, and that would, in my opinion, bring him from an A to like A plus down to A minus, almost a B plus. Because
I think it depends what it is. Like if it's a guy who's been in the league for a few years, maybe like a 25, 26-year-old right-handed center, I get that. But if it's like a 30, 32-year-old center, there's no point. Like if it's a younger player who's got a right hand, because we have nobody who takes right-handed faceoffs, and that's a problem.
There's nobody playing on the Wranglers roster that can take right-handed faceoffs.
I'm sure there is on the Wranglers, but do you really want, like, I wouldn't mind having some of them, trying some of them out on the fourth line here and there, but like, are you demoting Kadri? Are you demoting, like, I don't mean to the AHL.
No, I'm saying,
like, are you like, which center are you moving down? Like, you're not moving Frost down the lineup. You're not moving.
I don't want to move anybody down.
Backlund
If
down.
we're talking about replacing Rooney with somebody else in the NHL, to me that is fucking stupid. Bring up one of your players. We only have 20 plus games left, and see what you got at the NHL level. Yes, it's going to be fourth line, but let's see what we have. And like, to give up anything to bring in somebody to replace Rooney is just asinine to me. That just, I would much rather just do nothing on that front.
Yeah, I mean,
Like I could, trade Rooney. Sure, I'd be okay with that. Get a a third, fourth round pick for it. But like as far, I don't want to
I'd be
bring
shocked
anybody
if you
in
got a
for.
fourth, fifth round. Like you're getting a round pick
exactly. You getting a second round pick for Kevin Rooney?
No, a sixth.
Oh, six. Sorry, I thought you said second. I'm like,
No.
dude, I don't know.
If you're getting a second round pick for Rooney, you're fucking packing his
do it
bags.
now.
Yeah.
I'll take you to the airport. Sorry, kid.
Yeah.
No, like trade him. I'm fine with that, right? He's a fourth liner. It really is not going to amount to much. And in my opinion, we need to start seeing what we have. And if we don't start seeing what we have, we're just going to keep cycling in these players. And we're not going to rebuild through the draft. We're going to rebuild through free agency, which is just going to be costly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to go out and get a right-handed center. I also don't think that we're competitive enough to add anything.
No.
Unless it's a superstar player, I don't think we're competitive enough to add anything. I just know that's been on Conroy's wish list for the entire season.
Right.
A right-handed center, whether it's Dylan Cousins, who we'll get into it in a minute, or if it's a fourth liner. What I just know that he's been in the market for a right-handed center, and I can't see him going and getting Cousins or anyone else until the offseason. I still think he's going to try, whether it's Cousins or Rantanen or whoever. I think he's going to try for somebody in the offseason, but I just don't see a point in going and spending anything on even a right-handed center. If it's your third, fourth line, it just doesn't fucking matter this season. That type of move is the type of move you do when you're competitive.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. Right now we're trying to see what we have, throughout the organization and even within the A, right? Rantanen, would I like him? Obviously, he's a incredible talent. I absolutely have zero interest in trading for him. His contract is up this year, and I can't see him wanting to re-sign with the Calgary Flames.
I could see that. Now, I don't think I agree with you in the fact that I don't want to spend any assets on him, because it doesn't matter what the asset is. It's going to be way too much for a guy who's going to probably end up in free agency. And then you can just pick him up in free agency. I think the reason I think that it's possible that the Calgary Flames could end up with Rantanen in the offseason is because we have the cap space. Rantanen has turned down Colorado. He turned down a pretty lucrative deal from Colorado. I don't think he's turned down Carolina yet, but it doesn't sound like he's too hot on their reported at least $12.5 million times 8 contract. Right. It doesn't sound like he's too hot on that, given a superstar player like him, who's used to being trucked out there 24 minutes a game, playing for Rod Brindamore. Probably, I don't have it up, but I would be willing to bet he's playing a bunch of 14, 15, 16-minute games when he's used to playing 8 minutes more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, looking at his stat line here, he's averaging in Carolina 20 minutes, 10 seconds.
That's not bad at all.
And generally with Colorado, he was averaging anywhere from 19 to 22 minutes. He's pretty much on par. He's 2 minutes shy of what he would normally do in Colorado.
Fair.
But
that's fair.
I mean, I'm like, in my opinion, if he's turning down 8 by 12, 8 by 12 and a half, I think there's a situation there where he doesn't actually want to play for that team. That seems.
I agree with that.
Seems like I don't. I mean, do I think he's worth more than that? No, I don't. Like he's never been, in the top 2 or 3 of the best scorers in the league. So why should he be making the same money as those guys?
Well, because of where the cap is going, and I know
Sure.
you don't believe in it, but like it is going to be around 95 next year, and it's like that's already a fact. According to Bettman, anyways, it's where it's going to be. I think he said at least 94 and a half, I believe, is the number he put up, which is a significant rise, and it's supposed to be going up drastically over the next couple of years as well. So, and like the dude has a 50-goal season. He has several or multiple 40-goal seasons. He's got a couple 100-point seasons. Like he's not a bad player at all. He's a superstar player. Is he a top 2 player? No. Is he a top 10 player? I think he's a top 10 forward in the league. I truly do.
Right. So you're talking about Mikko Rantanen, right?
Yes.
Am I wrong that he's had one 55-goal season and one 42-goal season? Other than that, his highest was 36.
I thought he had 2 40-goal seasons and one 50-goal season, but I could be wrong on that. I don't have those stats up, but
yeah, I mean he does have two 105 and 104 point season and a 92 point season. Obviously, he's an incredible player. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I still don't see how he matches up to top 3 players in the league as far as contracts, but he's not that far off. Like in my opinion, he's like I'll say a million off being paid like those guys.
yeah,
Right?
but the thing is those guys are going to be $15-16 million players in the next couple of years.
Sure.
Those are the contracts they will be signing in the next couple of years. That's the reason Austin Matthews only took a 4-year deal, is because he's going to be signing a $14-15 million deal. In my opinion, anyways. I just want to talk a little bit more about Rantanen, though. Again, like I don't think we need to go out and bust out every single stop to get him, because he doesn't really fit the entire outlook of the team, although he would probably change the outlook of the team having a superstar player and a superstar forward, having some really good young defensemen in the system, and having Dustin Wolf. Like it probably speeds up the rebuild a little bit. Not that I want to speed it up that much unless it's with a really young player, but another thing is so a lot of people have been saying that Mikko Rantanen is basically a product of Nathan McKinnon, and that's why he's not doing well in in Carolina. I think he's not doing well in Carolina because he was shook by the trade in the first place, and he's from what I gather from some of the podcasts I listen to, apparently he's been generating a lot of chances in Colorado or in Carolina, and he's just not finishing on them. But in his career, he's got, without McKinnon, he's got a 55 points in 53 games. So that's over a point a game without McKinnon. And a plus 22 without McKinnon. Like, given, generally speaking, the rest of that team is pretty damn good too. But I don't think he's just he's a player who can drive the play by himself. Of course, he feeds off of McKinnon as well, as any other good player damn well should. But it's not like he's just good because he plays with McKinnon. This isn't fucking Zach Hyman scoring 50 goals because he's playing with Connor McDavid, right? That's not what this is. This is a really, really good player who's amplified a little bit by playing with another superstar player. Also, when McKinnon's hurt, he plays center. And then sometimes he just plays center when McKinnon's not hurt. When they're not playing together, he'll sometimes play center too. This guy takes a ton of faceoffs. He's taken, he's had 450 face-off season, a 511 face-off season, a couple 300 face-off seasons. He's pushing 300 right now this season. He has a career 53% on the face-offs, according to Fox Sports. That's what I'm looking at because that's the first thing that came up when I looked at face-off stats. But he's got 50.
That's why I love. That's why I love different stat pages, right? The one I'm looking at have him at 50.9 in percentage on the face-off. It's interesting, right? Yeah, absolutely. And so I also want to follow up on that what you said about people giving him shit because he hasn't been producing yet. Like he's played 8 games for Carolina, sorry. With 3 points. Like it's a completely different system. He's playing with new players. It's going to take some time. You can't fault the guy for not being a point per game right off the hop, being traded to a completely different system, a different mindset, a different coach, just a different atmosphere altogether. Like of course it's going to take him a few games to figure it out.
And Colorado's system is downhill, generate as much offense as you can and hope your goalie can hold you in it when you've completely lost your mind defensively. And Carolina's is the opposite, where it's like, you have a younger Chris Tanev in Jacob Slavin, who's their number one defenseman, and then they kind of built out from there, right? Like they play defense. That's their whole thing, is they play defense and then counterattack.
Yeah.
Whereas
they're trying to win games 2-1. Yeah. Carolina's trying to win games 2-1.
Yeah. Colorado is
trying to make sure they can score at least 5 goals so they can potentially win the game, but still sometimes lose after scoring 5 goals.
Yeah, exactly. So it's completely different. And again, like I wouldn't be upset. I'd actually straight up, I would be excited if we got Rantanen, but I still don't. I'm not going out there and being like, we need to get Rantanen, but. And we certainly should not fucking trade for him. But if in free agency, if we got him, I'd be pumped. If we didn't get him, I wouldn't be like, oh, fuck, we missed him.
Exactly. If we signed him, I'd be perfectly okay with it. Obviously depending on what the contract is, but zero interest in making the trade because to me it's just too risky to have him re-signed, in my opinion. And you'll have to give up a shit ton of assets, and that's just to me not worth it at this time. And
I don't want to be given Zeri. I don't want to be given Coronado. I don't want to be given. No, if it's Mikko Rantanen and he's got an extension in place, like I'd give away New Jersey's fucking first round pick for that. But I
obviously
wouldn't be giving away
more
young NHL ready players, which is what they'd probably be wanting, right?
Yeah, agreed.
And I just wanted to touch on Dylan Cousins real quickly. I've heard that Conroy, who was it? I can't remember exactly who it was on. I think it was Darren Drager, was saying that Craig Conroy has been the most persistent GM, calling Kevin Adams or whatever the fuck his name is there in Buffalo about Dylan Cousins and bothering him all the time and trying to get something done. I don't think it's going to get done before the off season. It could get done during the off season. I wouldn't mind it. I think Cousins is partially his underperformance is partially Buffalo being shit and partially them getting Tage Thompson and then feeding Tage Thompson every single offensive start and then making Dylan Cousins a penalty killer, which is fine, right? He should learn how to do that too. But I do think he's got offensive upside that's slightly untapped.
Yeah, like he's playing third to second line minutes, generally at around 17 minutes. I wouldn't mind getting a player like Cousins. He fits the mold as far as the age bracket that I'm looking for retooling, rebuilding the Flames.
But
Obviously,
24, 25?
Yeah, he's 24 right now. It's the contract freaks me out. Because there's still 6 more years at it. At $7 million, which isn't a ton of, it's not a ton of money, but it's too much for what he's producing currently.
Yeah. Hmm? Yeah. 100%. I agree with that. I also think that I've said this many times before, but I think that Dylan Cousins would be the type of player who would benefit greatly from playing around, not specifically on their line, but sitting on the bench with Blake Coleman and even maybe Kadri and Michael Backlund and guys who can reel him in. Buffalo doesn't have those guys really anymore. They've got Alex Tuck.
They haven't had guys like that in years, right? They've been so focused on rebuilding for the last, I don't know, 15 years.
Yeah.
That is like just when you think they're finally coming out of it and making a push they can't even make the playoffs. It's really bizarre. They've had a ton of talent.
A ton of it.
And it's just they cannot put it together. Clearly, there's there's something going on as far as their inability to find a coach that can get and motivate young players, because they've got it's so bizarre to me. It makes no sense.
Well, they brought Lindy Ruff back. Shouldn't recycling old coaches do something pretty special? Like, I can't think of any other teams that have done that in the past, though.
I don't know. Where did Keenan end his career?
I think he's still coaching. But where did he end his career?
Mm-hmm. Just before he came to the Flames, I think. Is he still coaching?
I think he's coaching in in Europe. I could be wrong though. It would help a lot to not understand what he's saying.
Fair.
Those Russians are really rough and tumble as well. I don't know if he still is, but I think he was a couple years ago at the very least. But no, like, we recycled Sutter and it worked way better than them recycling Ruff did. But I don't understand why you
other than he helped drive away a couple of our elite players, but other than that, it went great.
Yeah, it went really well that first year, and then they all left at the end of the first year because of him.
Right.
It's really strange. I say they all hated winning, but apparently Tkachuk didn't hate winning. But
I mean,
yeah. Anyways,
I'm not gonna say anything negative.
Again, like I said with Rantanen, like, I don't really want to be moving like a Zeri or a Matt Coronado or anything like that for Dylan Cousins.
Yeah.
I do like Cousins. I think both of those players have a higher upside than Cousins do, or at least a similar one than Cousins does. But I wouldn't mind having Cousins, and I don't know what a deal would look like, because I can't see it being Anderson unless Buffalo makes other moves, because they have Byram, Power, and Darlene, and like, Rasmus Anderson isn't going to sign an extension in Buffalo where I've heard there's no palm trees there. I'm not sure, but he's not going to sign an extension there if he's playing, bottom of the second pair minutes on a team that sucks.
Do you know what Buffalo needs? They're in win now mode, right? They've rebuilt for long enough. They're in win now mode. They need a couple of elite players like a Huberto and a Kadri, and let's go, baby.
I'll tell you what. I'll trade you Huberto and Kadri for Dylan Cousins and JJ Peterka.
Done. Straight across.
Yeah. And
I'll retain.
Sure. Fuck, while you're at it, we might as well flip somebody else and get Tage Thompson.
I was going to say, how do we work Tage into this? Fine, I'll give you the first. Fuck. I'll give you jerseys first.
I don't know, man. Do you think Conroy's going to do anything before the deadline, or you think he's going to stand pat and make a couple splashes in the summer?
I believe it's going to be a summer thing.
Yeah.
I feel. I mean, there's a lot of names floating around. Obviously, there is every year. That's the job of the insiders, right? If they didn't create rumors, they would have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't take a ton of stock in it, until you really start hearing the buzz around, the ones that are close, like, if Ryan Leslie's going to be talking about guys coming, then I might start thinking about it more. But I honestly don't think Conroy's looking. I mean, he's always looking to better the team, but I think the people that are on the market right now, I think the ask is too high for what Conroy's willing to give up.
I agree.
That's my thought.
And I agree.
At least I sure hope so. I want him to protect these picks that we have in the next, two drafts, because I want to get excited about the team direction when they start playing in the new arena.
Me too. And I just wanted to bring one other player up. I haven't actually looked myself, but I heard on the radio today that Quentin Byfield is on Nick Kyprios's trade board, which is fucking batshit crazy to me that the Kings would be wanting to trade Byfield for anything that they need. I can't see that being true. I feel like that might be just him trying to get clicks. But if the Kings are seriously considering moving Byfield, heaven and earth. I like him so much.
Yeah, I would love to have him. I also think that apparently today was an extremely slow news day, and Kyprios making shit up.
Yeah.
Like, in what world? Would that make sense? They're not looking to restart.
And like, even if they were looking to restart, Quentin Byfield's like 20.
He's the guy you want to restart. Like, that's just such a stupid thing. I don't understand how that's even in a conversation.
Like, what are you doing?
Like, they're third in the Pacific. Yeah, like, why? That just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He had 4 assists in his last game. I mean, I don't think he has 40 points on the year, but I think he got 4 assists in his. Actually, I know he got 4 assists in his last game because I've got him on 3 of my fantasy teams, streaming him in because LA's got a good schedule this week.
I suppose, right? It's funny. I haven't really followed his season as far as Jesus. That when you start typing and you just look up and you're like, oh, that's the player I'm looking for. No, I just pulled up Dustin Bufflin. That it included a picture, so it kind of threw me off a little bit there.
Yeah.
I mean, 33 points in 55 games. Like, what a shit season. I mean, obviously, it's not as good as last year, but I mean, if that is in fact true, I'm willing to allow and consider Conroy for making those plays or making those decisions. That's fine, but I
That
don't
would be
think it being fact myself.
I know Byfield hasn't shown this like insane upside yet in the NHL, but he's very young still,
Yeah,
and
he's
he's
22.
huge. He can play center. He's played lots of center. I think he's currently playing center. Yes, he's got, what did you say, 33 points in 50 something games,
Yeah,
which
55
isn't
games.
crazy looking, but like I'm pretty sure his most common line mate this year has been Warren Fogle. He
Right.
plays on power play too. So like,
Yeah.
what do you expect? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's playing center behind Anze Kopitar. He's playing on power play, like power play 2. Like, that's not a shitty season for a young player anyways. And every time I watch Quentin Byfield play, he has dominant shifts. I would fucking love. He's like, how Zeri was playing at the beginning of the season, where he had dominant shifts all the time and he was carrying the puck and nobody could get him off it. He's like that, except he's like way bigger and thicker. He's taller and thicker.
Well, I was just going to say, obviously, a large component to that would be the fact that he's 6'5" and 230.
Yeah.
So obviously, he's a little more difficult to get off the puck than, say, I don't know, Matt Coronado.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I mean, yeah, he's gonna be good at protecting the puck and maintaining control. But yeah, it's for he went second overall, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you would expect him to have started his career better.
Yep.
Because I don't think he may have played just a couple of games, I think, in the first season, which is not great for a guy going second overall, right? You would expect that person to jump into the lineup in the first season, hopefully. And then, if I'm not mistaken, he didn't even play a full season the following year. So, but I mean, also at the time, the Kings were looking really strong too, right? So, I mean, they didn't really have a need for him at the time, I guess.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I think he only played 6 games in his first season there. But he also played a bunch with the AHL because I guess he qualified for the AHL, which is interesting.
That is interesting because wasn't he Sudbury Wolves?
Yeah, he played for the Sudbury Wolves, where he had 82 points in 45 games. But I think he was also injured for a lot of his first couple seasons. I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure there was some injury issues to start his career. But he's played, I'm pretty sure, all of the games this season, and he played all but 2 last season. So that seems to, knock on wood, be behind him. Again, like, I don't know if that is a true rumor, if that's Kyprios making shit up. I don't think we need to spend a whole bunch of time on it, but like, if that's a thing, then do it and don't even think twice about it.
Yeah, if that's in fact the case, then obviously Craig needs to hang up the phone with Buffalo and start calling LA.
Oh, I would fucking much rather have Byfield than.
In fact, in November, I'll actually be in LA at a conference for work at LA Live, which is directly across the street from the Staples Center. So I'll go there and make it happen.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I will come with you, and we'll figure out a way to subdue a 6'5", 230-pound hockey player and bring him back
Oh,
to Calgary out of
I'll have him
LA
eating out of
and
my hands
show
in
him all of
minutes.
the joys of Calgary in November.
Right? Right? Do you, as long as you look good in a skirt, I think we can make it happen. We can get him here.
I look fucking
Make,
terrible in the skirt. I
and
only know that
and
because I struck out in baseball 2 years ago, and I
whoops.
had to wear the skirt for a day.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
That was
That's super
embarrassing.
embarrassing.
And the worst
Hmm.
part of it is that it was the last day of the season. So
So we had to wear it till the next year every day.
well, it was in my closet for an entire year because nobody struck out. None of the guys struck out the next year.
That's funny. Well, you've got a couple of months to practice your sign making skills. So you built a sign. Two of us go to LA. You'll have to shave your legs, and then we'll get Quentin on the flight. Do you have any access to anything I can put in a rag to maybe convince him a little bit better? No, never mind.
The rails, man, the
Never mind.
rails.
Right. I do that.
like our buddy Matthew Kachuk once said, "Stay off the tracks."
Stay off the tracks.
Maybe we need to get back on the tracks.
I suppose it'd be kind of funny watching, right? Because he's like 6, 7 inches taller than I am. So I think that'd be funny. Me jump on his back and
Kind of
just take it. You're fine, Quentin. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just come with me. Just let it happen.
Well,
on that note,
pretty sure that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple. Subscribe to us on YouTube and all that type of stuff. Tell your friends and check out Rocky Mountain Maniacs, the band, the local Calgary band for that matter, that wrote our entrance music, our theme music. So check them out. They're awesome, and they have been very busy playing all over Calgary for the past couple months. So
yeah, absolutely.
I highly suggest. I haven't seen them live, but I've listened to all of their music, and
yeah, they're pretty good.
Quite good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the link for their Spotify will be in the description of this episode, so definitely click it and check them out.
Yeah. Until next time, go Flames, go. Cheers.
Go Flames.